It's 2727. All MCU All 33 MCU villains ranked from worst to best. This was 2 years ago, so I don't think they'll count. There won't be Black Widow. There won't be any Loki villains. Any Captain Winter, any Falcon villains. My number one's obviously Thanos. I think number two is Ultron. Or mate, Ultron better be in the top three. He better, because Ultron's the best villain ever. I swear to God. Why did he die? Come here. That's my dog. No, don't go there. Oh, okay. Okay, buddy. Okay. Let's watch it.
Avengers Endgame is the movie event of the year, so naturally I'm in the mood to talk about Marvel. I've already updated my rankings of the MCU heroes and films. You can see that right up here. But now we're going to stop and rank all 33 MCU movie villains from the worst to the best.
Hey. Huh? What? Yeah.
Hi, my name is Sean Chandler, and I started this channel because I was driving everyone around me crazy talking about movies way too much. If you can relate, you're probably in the right place and consider clicking that subscribe button. With that in mind, go ahead and join me down below in the comments section. Share your picks for the best and the worst MCU villains. As I go into this, I'm not ranking them based off of their power. I'm just not the right person to do a video like that, but I'm ranking them based off of their intrigue.
Oh yeah, Loki's a villain.
How well they play
I forgot that he's a villain.
How well they've been used inside.
Is he even a villain anymore?
My list isn't the right list. It's just my list, and I would
love
love it if
Loki
you
will be
would
in
share
the top
yours
5.
down below. One final thing before we get started, people ask me about the t-shirts that I wear in my videos. A whole lot of them are available in my merch store. The link is Dark World. He is easily in my merch store. The link is down below in the description. If you like some of my shirts, go ahead and check it out and see if there's something there for you. With that said, let's get started. In last place is Malekith from Thor: The Dark World. He is easily the most forgettable and
wait, are we doing strongest or just like likable? I think we're doing
boring villain in the entire MCU. And that's mostly because he's not given a single defining characteristic or personality trait. He's indistinguishable from all of the other dark elves who also have absolutely no personality. So even though they cast one of the actors who played Doctor Who in the role, you never know that because there's nothing distinct about the performance or the character at all. If you're struggling with insomnia, just put on any one of Malekith's scenes in the movie that Thor's not in, and you'll be out before the scene's over. Coming in at number 32 is the Mandarin from Iron Man 3.
Okay, I think we're done.
60% or so of Iron Man 3. He's actually a pretty menacing villain that has this interesting vibe as he's basically just a terrorist.
He's an actor.
And then it's revealed that he's just a drunken doofus and an actor. I debated whether I should even include him in this list as he's not really a villain, he's just a moron. But because the movie presents him as a villain for over half of the film, I decided to include him. He's just not a very good villain. At number 31 is the Sovereign from Guardians of the Galaxy
Fuck, I forget every villain.
For the
There's
first
33
half of this
villains.
movie, their antagonism is
like
what drives the plot forward, and then they show up again in the third act of the film.
There's more heroes.
But really,
there's more
victims of Rocket robbing them rather than actual villains inside of the film. But they are treated as bad guys here. But for me, they are just so goofy and they overplay the 80s retro vibe with the sound effects and everything, so that for me, they come off more like a spoof of themselves than actual antagonists. Kicking off our top 30 is the Supreme Intelligence from Captain Marvel. Now, I actually think this is a pretty good idea for a villain inside of the MCU. It was just executed very poorly. We see the Supreme Intelligence as Annette Bening inside of this film, and they have her give this bizarre performance as the Supreme Intelligence that kind of pulled me out of the film. But more importantly, nothing about the Supreme Intelligence plan seems particularly supreme or intelligent, so I don't think it's a particularly good villain at this point. Next up is Sonny Burch from Ant-Man and the Wasp.
No way,
he's basically just a generic arms dealer who's
all he has is a
chasing
gun.
around our lead characters and posing an ant-sized threat.
That's a nice card.
Not particularly interesting as a villain or an antagonist, but Walton Goggins is always fun to see on screen, so I kind of like him for that reason. Number 28, Suitor from Thor
Ragnarok. I wish we were doing power, like the strongest MCU villains. This guy is so cool.
Now this is the character that is responsible for Ragnaroking Asgard and bringing forth the apocalypse. He also has some nice banter with Thor at the beginning of Ragnarok, But Apocalypse aside, there's really not much here that's interesting.
But he's
just
strong.
a big monster. Coming in at number 27 is Caecilius from Doctor Strange, another potentially interesting character with a unique motivation in that he sees the hypocrisy in the actions of the
Too much
Ancient
makeup,
One and
man.
wants to kind of do something about it. But the actual execution of the character just falls flat. The way he's incorporated into the story makes him come off a lot more one-dimensional than he actually is. Also, as much as I like Mads Mikkelsen, there's not enough of his personality and skill set that gets to cut through with the character. So in the end, he's not particularly interesting. Then we've got Yellow Jacket from Ant-Man. In isolation,
Yellow
I kind of
Jacket.
actually like this character and the way he ties into the story. And
Damn.
because his character does
My
things
favorite
like
villain
kidnapping
is
Scott
Ultron.
Lang's daughter, his actions
No.
can kind of stick.
It's Ultron
the
or
problem
Surtur.
here is that his character and the
Wait, no,
storyline are
yeah,
basically just
it's one
a
of those
rehash
two.
of Obadiah Stane from
Thanos
Iron Man.
is sick, but
and
I
the
mean,
director has
if
essentially
Ultron had the
acknowledged this
Infinity
himself.
Gauntlet,
At number 25
it could
is
be a different
Whiplash
story.
from Iron Man 2. This character should be an awesome rival to Tony Stark in that he's brilliant and he creates cool
But he's not.
weaponry. But he's stuck in a movie that's overcrowded, and so his character gets literally stuck in a lab for the entire middle of the film, where he's just inventing
what happens in Iron
technology
Man
and
2?
talking about his bird. So another waste of potential. Next is Aldrich Killian from Iron Man 3. He's a decent version
Yeah,
of a villain
he's a-
trope that we've
he's
seen
a-
many
he's
times
an
before,
alright
and
villain,
we
you know?
have seen
I don't
since.
like- he's a
But
good villain.
He's not particularly engaging.
Oh my god.
Decent version of a villain.
As
trope
I
that
said,
we've
he
seen
was
many
an
times
alright- he
before,
is an
and we
alright
have
villain.
Seen since, but he's
Yeah.
not particularly engaging beyond the basic villain trope. Coming in at number 23 is Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Ghost.
Now, she's not necessarily a villain, but she is an antagonist to our heroes. Her desperation to survive and stop her suffering puts her in opposition to our heroes inside of the film. So while she doesn't necessarily have this
She's
big,
a
master
ghost.
scheme, she's certainly a foil to our heroes. Number 22 is Taserface from Guardians of the Galaxy
Taserface.
Volume 2, the character with the coolest name on this entire list. He is as ruthless as he is stupid. Some people might think he's more of a minor character. In a lot of ways he is, but he's also in another way kind of the main villain of the second act of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and his cruelty and the way he treats people is a key ingredient inside of Yondu's redemptive arc, which was one of the best parts of that movie. At number 21 is Dormammu
Hey,
from
this
Doctor
guy's
Strange. Now, we
sick.
don't get a whole lot of plot or character here, but he's our introduction
big and he's
to
strong.
the Dark Realm,
I
which
reckon he could be
inherently brings
Thanos.
a certain amount of intrigue with him and builds
How
certain
could
senses
Thanos
of
beat that
mysteries and
guy?
the potential what could happen in the future.
How could
And you also
Thanos
get
beat
one
Surtur?
very catchy and memorable sequence.
I don't get it.
Dormammu, I come to bargain.
Bringing us into the top 20 is Ego from Guardians of the Galaxy
Ego.
Volume 2. As much as I love
Ego.
Kurt Russell and the fact that he's in the MCU,
Ego.
I think that Ego is an enormous waste of his talents. The big problem here is, as a character, Ego, for the first 3/4 of the movie, just delivers exposition, takes naps, and plays catch. Just stop and think about all of his dialogue in this movie. 85% of it is just explaining who he is and what he has done. Even as you move into that final climactic
Hey, I wanted
battle
to
that's
see him
supposed
as
to
like
be
a planet with a
celestial,
face. That'd
I
be
was
sick.
very underwhelmed
But
with
no,
what happened there.
he
So
was
for me,
just the
Ego
guy.
is just a big, massive disappointment. Next up is Ronan the Accuser from Guardians
Ronan's
of the
a
Galaxy.
sick
Captain
villain.
Marvel.
I
Now,
forgot.
I
Yeah, he's
know
sick.
that this is an unpopular opinion.
What?
But yes, I think that Ronan is a better villain than Ego.
Yeah, he
Generic?
is.
Cliche? Absolutely. But he does more than take naps and play catch. He has
Ronan's
clear
sick.
motivations. He gets in on the action
He's
from
angry.
the beginning. And this is a guy that
He
betrayed...
should have. He didn't. Oh my god, Ronan's actually a dumb villain. Why did he just watch and let Star-Lord dance? He could have just put the hammer down. Boom. It's easy. And when the cannon was firing at him, he could have put it down still. He didn't.
and turned on Thanos.
Dumb
You
villain.
gotta give him at least some credit for that. Now, I went into Captain Marvel hoping they were going to make him a much better character and develop his backstory. They didn't. That was one of my biggest disappointments with
Why would
Captain
they
Marvel
do
is that
that?
they didn't develop Ronan more. And once again, he was just a generic cliche character. But
It's
I
a
do
Captain
think he's
Marvel
more
story,
interesting than
not a
Ego.
Ronan
Coming in at
story.
number 18
Mate.
is the Other and the Chitauri. Now, this is an example of a villain that what makes them fun for me isn't
The what?
generic cliche character, but I do think he's more interesting than Ego. Coming in at number 18 is The Other and the Chitauri. Now, this is an example of a villain that what makes them fun for me isn't the fact that they have this compelling backstory or motivation. No, what makes them work for me is that I think they're the best cannon fodder inside of the MCU. What I mean by that is sometimes you just need a big, gigantic army for the Hulk to smash, and I think that
those dragon things were sick in the Avengers movie.
In the original Avengers is just so much fun.
Where Hulk
and
just
that's
punched you in the
because you
face.
get to see these
that
guys
one
get smashed.
That
to
gave me
pieces,
nightmares.
and
Not
so
gonna
that's
lie.
Kind of where they're placed.
That actually
Number
gave me nightmares.
17 is Abomination from the Incredible Hulk. I think that this is one of the most underrated villains inside of the MCU.
He's a shit villain.
Now, he's not a classic villain, but he
shit.
deserves more credit than he's given. He's a classic example of an evil version of our hero in that he's this soldier that's a warmonger that has a desire for power, and you see that arc throughout the film as he goes from soldier guy into an actual abomination, leading into this third act.
Apparently, Abomination's like in Loki again.
Monster boss
I don't
fights
know.
in the entire
But he's got like
MCU
gills
with
in
a
that.
really
I don't
bunch
know.
of cool moments in it. Then we got Justin Hammer from Iron Man 2. I actually get a good kick out of this character. Sam Rockwell plays him with so much bravado that he's just kind of fun to see on screen as this Tony Stark knockoff that's jealous of what Tony Stark's able to do, and because of that it drives him to do some really stupid things. That's an interesting new way to do a villain inside of this universe. The movie itself, not so great. The character, I wish we got to see more of him inside of the MCU. And number 15 is Jan Rog from Captain Marvel. While he might not be the most menacing or memorable character on this list,
I don't think Thanos is going to be first now.
Well inside of that film.
Not on power.
He's the mentor at the beginning and the villain
I feel
at
like
the
Loki's
end,
going to be
and that adds
first.
this extra layer of betrayal.
Because he's got like a big backstory. And he's in like every single movie.
Really nice.
Loki's in the most movies.
Zola. Now, he's not given a ton of screen
Loki
time.
or
He's
Black
not given a
Widow
massive
is in the most
character
movies.
arc, but he is one of the masterminds of Hydra. This guy is responsible essentially for so much of the MCU's villain infrastructure, so you gotta put him at a nice spot on this list. Coming in at number 13 is Ulysses Claw from Black Panther.
Claw! Oh no! Killmonger's gonna be the number one villain. He's got a sick backstory.
And they give him this big, vibrant personality that makes him pop out and makes you want to see more of him. Unfortunately, they killed him off so soon, but this is a fun character that steals every scene that he's in. Number 12 is the Red Skull from Captain America the First Avenger. Captain America's classic villain is brought to the screen by the legendary Hugo Weaving, and this is a character that brings Hydra one of the essential MCU villains inside of the mix here. He's also got big ties to the Infinity Stones, but unfortunately, I think they used him a little bit too often just to deliver exposition. At number 11 is Obadiah Stane, Ironmonger from the original Iron Man. I think this is another greatly underappreciated villain inside of the MCU, as he's a proper use of the evil businessman, the evil version of our hero that's the villain by the end of the film. But with that in mind, I think that they didn't use this character to his potential, because I think they should have used him in 2 films and told his origin story throughout the first Iron Man film and then make him the big villain of the second film.
Did he die?
I think
feel
that
like he died.
Two-story arc could have made him one of the greats of the MCU. Starting our top 10 is Alexander Pierce from Captain America the Winter Soldier, the great political villain inside of the MCU, kind of the Hydra mastermind working behind the scenes, making all these things that happened inside of Phase 1 and Phase 2 of the MCU happen. Well, he's not the guy that's going to start throwing punches with Captain America or our Avengers. He is the guy that's causing so much of the trouble for them. Next is Baron Zemo from Captain America Civil War. He's the great mastermind that managed to tear our entire Avengers apart without needing to throw a single punch.
Yeah, he's pretty strong, not gonna lie. He's kind of strong.
Sees the flaws with what they're trying to do and develops some plan and dedicates himself to tearing them down. Coming in at number 8 is the Children of Thanos. Without needing a ton of screen time, these guys make their mark on this film by being these creepy, weird characters, especially our Squidward fellow who just does this little gesture.
The Grand Master. Who's Crossbones? I'm reading the comments right now. Someone said, I think you forgot Crossbones and the Grand Master. Who's Crossbones? Who the hell is Crossbones? Who's that? Crossbones. Oh, is that the guy from Civil War at the start where he gets blown up in the building? Is that him? I mean, he's got bones on his... Oh, no, maybe.
You're like this, and you instantly remember him, and he sticks into your brain, and you hate these characters. Next up, we've got Ultron from
Hey! Ultron! Why is he 7? He should be... Ultron's in the top 3. He's got character all the way. He's one of the most characteristic villains in the MCU. Ain't that right, buddy? Yeah, whatever.
Avengers Age of Ultron. This is a tricky one for me because certain things about Ultron I think are great. In other ways, I think he was underutilized. At his core is this villain who came about because of Tony Stark's flaws, and even Tony Stark's personality is injected inside of him, and he misinterprets what he's supposed to do and tries to kill everyone on planet Earth. All of that is very cool and interesting. The actual execution, I don't think, lives up to the potential there, and I think they undercut some of the...
Ultron, okay, I think Ultron's still alive, obviously. They're gonna use him more, because Ultron's like one of the best villains ever. No cap. They're gonna... In Spider-Man, the first one, you can see an Ultron head, and he throws it. So Ultron's still alive, because the eyes were glowing red still. Ultron's in the whole internet. I reckon this. You know how at the end of Age of Ultron, Vision, killed him? I reckon Vision sucked him in, and then he just put him somewhere else, because he doesn't want to lose his only brother. I think they're brothers. I don't know if they're brothers. I'm pretty sure they're brothers. Are they brothers? Shit. No, I don't even know. No, but Ultron is alive. That's my theory, guys. I'm predicting the future like The Simpsons. Come on.
How menacing he should be by giving him too much of a sense of humor, but there's a lot of things here that I really enjoy about Ultron. At number 6 is the Winter Soldier from Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Now, over the years, I've had people tell me that the Winter Soldier is not a villain because it's Bucky, but that's what makes him such an interesting villain. It is Bucky that has been brainwashed and turned into this deadly assassin that has to be stopped. So part of the intrigue here is it is Bucky that has been brainwashed and just being controlled by other people, and Captain America is desperately trying to redeem him and bring him back. It's that intrigue and that relationship with Captain America that makes him one of the greats. Kicking off our top 5 is Hela from Thor Ragnarok, played with campy bravado from Kate Blanchett. Villain. She makes her mark on the screen as soon as she shows up. But what makes her so interesting to me is all of her ties to Odin's dark past and all the things he did wrong before Thor came about and before the MCU started. Those interesting details about who she is, why she exists, and why she's
I reckon they're going to have like movies about villains.
Top 5 villain for me.
They're going to have I reckon they'll have a movie of Ultron. Like, I reckon he's going to go to space or something. They're going to have a movie of Hela and her past. They're going to have a movie of Killmonger because I think he might get resurrected or something in Black Panther 2. Thanos basically had his own movie. He had 2 movies. Thanos had Avengers Infinity War. That was his main movie. And Endgame, he was in that for a bit. He wasn't in that for a lot, was he? What else? What other villains are there that there could be movies of? Loki has a show. He's a villain. I mean, he doesn't... I don't know if he's a villain. I don't know, he's in between. Just make up your mind, Loki.
4 is the Vulture from Spider-Man.
Hey, the Vulture. Wait, what's his name? Is number 2, Spider-Man 2? When was it? Oh... Dang it, they don't rate Mysterio.
He's not this big villain with this plan to blow up the world or anything like that. No, he's just a guy that feels slighted by the system and decides to break bad because of it. He's just trying to take care of his family. Add into the mix, you've got Michael Keaton playing him with all of his charm, charisma, and that evil dark side that he can bring forward, and you get a great villain. Real quick, before I give you my top 3, remember to share your picks for the best and the worst rank all 50
Shut
this
up.
project for 6 months, so I sure hope you'll come
Shut up.
people. What makes
Oh.
this project for 6 months,
Yeah, I
so I sure hope
told
you'll
you.
come back this Saturday to check that out. In
number
third
5.
place is Killmonger
Oh, is he
from
3?
Black Panther. Now on this list, we've seen a bunch of psychos and selfish people. What makes Killmonger
Yeah, how's he a
cut
villain? He
through all
just
the noise is that
gave
he's
stuff to
someone that
people.
feels personally wronged by Wakanda, as well as legitimate criticisms of the way they've interacted with the rest of the world. So while he is a bit of a psycho himself and does very villainous things throughout the film, there's also just that nugget of truth inside of what he's fighting for, that by the end of the film, he's won a bit of a moral victory and swayed Wakanda and T'Challa. Our runner-up is Loki from
So
a whole
Thanos
bunch of
wins.
films inside of the MCU. This is one of the most nuanced and developed characters inside of the MCU, as sometimes he's obviously the villain and other times he's the hero, he's the anti-hero. He's constantly switching sides because he's driven by this odd value set where he's trying to make a name for himself. He's trying to be important, but he also still cares about his family and his legacy in the same sense. He might not be the person throwing down in
dead.
boss fights with a big master scheme, but he's
That's so funny.
constantly manipulating
So funny.
everyone and working things in the direction that he wants. But in first place is Thanos,
Hey,
the
Thanos,
big bad guy
big
of the
man.
entire Infinity Saga, whose story has finally come to a close with Endgame. What makes him so interesting is that they spent so much time in Infinity War helping us to understand how this guy came to this insane conclusion that
And
he
he's the
needed
only
this
villain
Infinity
who's ever
Gauntlet
won a
to
battle.
wipe out so
But
much
then he
of
lost.
the galaxy. You actually have kind of
Well,
some
he was dead,
compassion
but he
for him and see
wasn't,
the
so-
brokenness and sadness inside of him, as he is this true believer of this bonkers plan. They even show us the hurt and the pain that he felt in having to sacrifice Gamora to gain
Hey!
the Soul Stone. Some people have said he's not
Ultron
quite as
could have been
interesting
way
in Endgame
better.
as he is in Infinity War, and I think that's totally valid because Infinity War is more his story,
Resurrect
whereas
Ultron.
Endgame is the story
Resurrect
of our
Killmonger.
Avengers defeating
Make a
him.
movie about
so where
them.
he's developed in one film, he's just
Was Ultron
the
made of
villain
vibranium?
in Endgame.
No,
and
he
I
wasn't.
think that fits
Was
both
he?
movies really
Was
well
Ultron
and
made of
serves him as a
vibranium?
villain really nicely and makes him the definitive,
I think he
the
was.
best villain inside of the MCU. Remember to check out that playlist right over.
Oh shit, no, I don't. Ah, yeah, that was a video.